I told you I was back for good this time, and I'm back with something a lot of you have been requesting for a while, a new EDC video. I love EDC videos. I love making them. I love watching them. And for those who don't know, because maybe this is the first EDC video you ever came across, EDC stands for Everyday Carry. It's basically a community of people who share pictures of the stuff that they usually carry with them in their bags. They usually offer some comments on how they use them, how these things fit into their lifestyle. It's interesting. When I first came across the EDC community, I admit that I didn't get it. I didn't understand why people were dumping the contents of their bags onto their tables and then arranging them all OCD-like and taking pictures and sharing them. But over time, I started liking the very aesthetic. It's really interesting seeing what everybody is carrying around with them. And I like how it ends up being like suggestions for things that you could bring with you that would improve your day, that would help you complete some tasks. So without further ado, let's take a look at this week's EDC. This is what I've been carrying with me in my bags. First off, right on the top here, we have the GameSir X2 controller. It's a Bluetooth controller to play games on your phone with. I'm gonna use my other phone here because I don't wanna mess up with. So basically you extend it like so, and then you just plop your cell phone there, and then you can play games with physical controls. Now, we are seeing this renaissance of streaming, cloud streaming solutions like Xbox Game Pass, which I happen to love. And I gotta say, for somebody who's addicted to the idea of playing games portably, it doesn't get any better than this controller and Xbox Game Pass. It is perhaps the best companion for my cell phone. I love this thing. It's a great controller. The people over at GameSir have been delivering quality, affordable controllers for a while now. In fact, this is my first controller that I reviewed by them, and this is the controller I use for my emulation solutions here in the office. So I got this some 4 years ago to review, and it's still going strong. I love this thing. It's a great controller. I got so much use out of it. This is when you know when the product is really good. You get it for a review, and you actually keep using it for months. I never needed to buy another controller after they sent me that. So yeah, this is the GameSir X2. It's phenomenal. I really like this thing. And if you're into Xbox Game Pass, you need something like this with your phone. I'll put a link in the description where you can buy one. This right here is a folding keyboard by Microsoft. It's paired to my Z Fold 3 here. I do a lot of writing on my phone. I'm working on my second book right now. And having this in my bag makes it so that whenever I have some downtime, I can just pull this thing out, open my phone, go into Google Docs, and work on my book. This is great. I've been doing most of my writing, in fact, doesn't happen at home, and that's because of this keyboard right here. It's split down in the middle here so that the keyboard can fold, which means that your muscle memory is gonna betray you a few times because it takes a little bit of getting used to, but it doesn't take that long. 5 minutes after opening this thing, I'm very fluent using it, and it's a great keyboard that lasts forever, by the way. I've had this for years. I may have charged it maybe like 5 times. It's amazing. And one thing that I love about this that Bluetooth devices don't do very often is that it allows you to pair with different devices. So if I press this button right here, it goes to my Z Fold 3. If I use this right here, it goes into my laptop. So yeah. I like this. I like being able to jump back and forth. And before that, it was paired to my iPad. So when I hit this button right here, this iPad iPhone indicator would light up because it would connect to my iPad. But ever since buying my Z Fold 3, I don't really take my iPad out of the house anymore, but more on that later. This is a little notebook. Nothing fancy. I mean, it is kind of a fancy notebook. I've been loving writing on this thing lately with pen, right? Pen to paper. I feel that when I'm writing stuff on my phone, I get distracted easily. I like being able to just jot down things like ideas for videos or something that I need to buy for the house, a reminder. I like this. I really like this. Plus, it looks super fancy. This right here is the Miyoo Mini, perhaps my favorite emulation solution of the last few years. And as you can see, it kind of became my dedicated Advance Wars machine. This thing emulates all the way from like the NES to the PlayStation. It does it flawlessly. I just absolutely love this thing. It's so portable. The form factor is just, it's delicious. And plus it looks like a Game Boy. It doesn't get any better than this. The battery's pretty decent. The screen is absolutely gorgeous. The emulation is really good. The community around them is prolific. They put out a bunch of updates and things like that. So this, because it's so popular, rest assured there's gonna be community support for this thing for years to come. So if you're looking for an emulation solution, something that's light and portable and beautiful, you cannot go wrong with the Miyoo Mini. The only problem with this thing really is sometimes it's hard to come by. Its stock tends to be sold out in most online retailers. You have to kind of wait around. Usually in the subreddits and the forums where people discuss this device, being able to snatch one up is reason to like start a thread and saying, I finally got it, it's here. It's that sought after. And it's easy to see why. This thing is hands down one of my favorite emulation solutions of all time. And again, you gotta remember, I have a lot of these things. I've tried everything under the sun, and this is the one I keep coming back to again and again and again. Look at how gorgeous this thing is. It's like a tiny little Game Boy. The quality is so high on this thing that it really does feel like something Nintendo themselves would have made if, you know, they actually liked money. Apparently they don't, because they could have made something like this. Remember the NES Classic, the SNES Classic? We all thought for sure they would come out with a Game Boy Classic that would look and feel kind of like this, right? They didn't, but thankfully you got this, so I don't need an official Game Boy Mini anymore. This right here is the latest addition to my EDC. It's a deck of playing cards, but with a twist. It's a cyberpunk deck of playing cards. My brother gave me this for my birthday. I love the cyberpunk genre, the aesthetic. So, and he knows I like EDC, and these things make for a great little EDC edition because you can, you know, play solitaire. You can try card tricks if you're into that. I'm trying to learn. My birthday was last month, so my brother gave me this, and I love it. This is like one of my favorite things now. Again, just like with the notebook, I could play solitaire on my phone, but there's something about playing solitaire with an actual deck of playing cards, especially one that looks this freaking cool. Thanks, Dan. This is my Tune 230NC headphones. They're noise canceling headphones, or rather earbuds, by JBL. I never had anything by them before. I like these quite a bit. They weren't too expensive, and the bass is pretty decent for the size. In fact, I had a different pair of earbuds before these, and when I made the jump to this, I couldn't believe how long I put up with the tinny sound of my previous pair of earbuds. So I like this quite a bit. The noise canceling is actually surprisingly decent for the size and the price. I was very, very pleased with this. This is just some lip balm. I live in Canada. I live in Calgary specifically. It's very dry, very cold up here. So you gotta have this, otherwise your lips get all cracked. And yeah, this is the kind of thing, I need to have like multiples. I have them all over the place. I put one in each pocket of all my suits, all of my jackets, because otherwise, you know, my lips crack and it sucks. This is just some nasal decongestion. This is just some, what do you call these? Nasal decongest, what is it actually called? Let's see. Decongestant. This right here is just a simple nasal decongestant. Again, very cold up here, very dry. Sometimes, you know, your nose gets all messed up. It's good to have this. It's especially when you first wake up. Sometimes it gets very cold overnight. I didn't have the heat on, and yeah, I get up and I'm frantically looking for this thing on my nightstand because it's very, very necessary. Something that it took me a while to add to my EDC, and now I'm glad I did. And oh yeah, of course, can't leave this out. This is my Z Fold 3. I've had this phone since launch. I love it. This is a completely new paradigm when it comes to a phone. I find it hard to use a regular phone after having this for a while because you really get used to having that extra screen real estate. So if I need to do some writing with my keyboard, it's great for that. If I want to do some reading, I have some comic books here. I have a huge comic book collection on this thing. I'm a big comic book fan, so I bought the very first iPad thinking specifically about using it to read comics. So when folding phones started becoming a thing, I'm like, okay, I don't need my iPad to read comics anymore. In fact, this would be better than an iPad because unlike my iPad, this is always in my pocket. So whenever I have some downtime, I can do some reading. It's great. I love this. It's great for consuming media. It's great for playing games. I have an emulator called Magic DOSBox with a bunch of old school DOS games. So, you know, I have a portable keyboard and I have a Bluetooth mouse so I can play let me turn this thing on here. I can play all of my favorite classics with a mouse and keyboard. I haven't installed all my favorite DOS games on this thing. I'll get to it eventually. But yeah. Command & Conquer Red Alert, dude. Now, here's the best part about this. Because it has an aspect ratio of 4:3, old school games look great on... Look at this, dude. Jesus Christ. All right, this video is over now. I'm sorry. I can play Red Alert on my goddamn phone with like a keyboard and everything, dude. So like if I want to make them shoot the ground, holding control on the keyboard, I can. If you told me when I was like 13 that one day I'd be able to play Red Alert on my phone like this with a mouse and keyboard, I would not have believed you. Sometimes I love the future. Though this is part of my EDC, usually it hasn't been this week, so I'm not including it because it would kind of be like cheating. So anyway, finally, I have my my daily driver here, the Amazfit Bip Lite. It's a simple smartwatch that has an interesting feature. So as you can see, the light went off, but you can still see the screen, right? Because it uses a transreflective screen, which means that the more light hits the screen, the better you'll see it, unlike a regular screen. So when you're out and it's really bright out, this thing is very visible, very legible. And maybe it's an OCD thing, but I don't like smartwatches that require you to raise your wrist to see the screen. That delay in the screen coming on, it bothers me an unreasonable amount. So I like the fact that this thing is always on. Also, even with the screen always on, it gets almost a month of battery life, dude. I'll go on trips. I'll go on international trips and not bring my charger with me. That's how great this is. It's waterproof, it's light. I like the, this watch face here has all the relevant information. Somebody sent me a text, I don't know, this probably spam. Anyway, all the relevant information here on the screen. I've posted a picture of this on my social media once and people thought it was overwhelming, all the numbers and everything. I like this. This tells me everything I need to know. It's very colorful. I like it quite a bit. Anyway, this is my EDC for this week. I know you guys like this type of content quite a bit, so I'll probably be doing this weekly now as opposed to monthly. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you think. Follow me on social media if you haven't already. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe and all those things that help out a lot. They do, they really do. If you could hit a like, that would make my day, I swear. Anyway, that's all the time I have for today. I'm Izzy, and I'm done.